Hello everyone, and welcome back to World of Warships Blitz with Terry. Today we're looking at a ship that somehow I missed, and I can't quite remember why, but for some reason I remember that it came out, and I just had something better to do that week, and then I completely forgot about it. This is the Irian, the Tier 8 Indonesian light cruiser. Now, this thing started out as a Sverdlov-class cruiser on the Soviet Navy, and just like the Mikhail Kutuzov. And these were kind of a little bit like the Worcesters in that they were very late gun cruisers that eventually just got sort of superseded and didn't really make sense anymore. A lot of the late World War II or post-World War II, early 50s Soviet Navy was concentrated around coastal defense. And the same idea was what the Sverdlovs were doing. And in the end, they would have needed more support in terms of, especially in terms of AA, and they didn't have it. And then eventually everybody just, stopped doing the gun cruiser thing when missiles came around. But this ship was actually, I'm not even going to try to pronounce what she was originally called, was supposed to be sold to the Chinese. But then, there was a bit of a split in terms of who has the right idea about what it means to be a communist. So she wasn't, and ended up being sold to the Indonesian Navy in the 1960s. Where, funnily enough, there was a coup attempt, and depending on where you read, all the usual suspects are involved, the MI6, the CIA, and eventually it was blamed on the communists, who I'm certain also had a finger in there somewhere. But, she was turned into a prison ship for suspected communists, which the Soviet Union didn't take kindly to. So they stopped sending spare parts, which means the whole thing then fell into disrepair. And depending on who you ask, was then sold to, I think, Japan or somewhere else for scrap later on. The whole fate of the ship isn't actually really that well known. But this is effectively a Kutuzov and a Tier 8 Kutuzov. Now, these things were actually successors to the Chapayev class. So let's compare the three of them, because we now have sort of three here. We've got the Chapayev in the tech tree at Tier 8, and we've got these two, the Sverdlov-class in Tier 8 as well. So if you compare the Chapayev and the Kutuzov, you'll notice very quickly that the Kutuzov actually gets a smoke instead of the radar, gets a little bit better AA. And other than that, looks relatively similar to a Chapayev, although she is much more maneuverable. The guns are identical, and the torpedoes on the Kutuzov, because she's a premium ship, are actually better than on the Chapayev. Although, in terms of range, except for everything else, not so much. And the AA is better as well. Now, if we compare the Irian to the Kutuzov, which are the same class of ship, really, the one thing that stands out here is that the Irian doesn't get the precise aiming or the defensive AA or the smokescreen. Instead, she gets 2 charges of sonar and a torpedo reload booster, actually 2 torpedo reload boosters. And these are deep water torpedoes. You see that on this symbol here, which means you can't actually torpedo any destroyers in this thing. She does get significantly more hit points than the Kutuzov. The Kutuzov is one of those ships that, if you're unlucky, can be one-shot by a battleship. Similar to the Chapayev, really. And it's still the same story with the Irian, but she does have a little bit more hit points. Not quite as maneuverable. And the guns actually have a shorter range, which is curious, because, again, these are completely identical guns, and this is the same class of ship, really. The torpedoes, on the other hand, are good. So instead of the on the Chapayev, you get, I think, 4.5 kilometer range. On the Kutuzov, you get 6 kilometer. On this thing, you'll get almost 8 kilometer range. Plus, these are deep water torps, so they hit a lot harder. They are quicker than on the Kutuzov and have a much better flatting chance as well. You get the same 2 quintuple launchers, but because you do get the torpedo reload, you can end up sending 10 torpedoes out on one side in twice in a battle, because obviously being a cruiser, the quintuple launchers are on center line but side mounted. The AA is a tad bit better on the Kutuzov, but because she doesn't get the defensive AA skill, that makes her much less of a support cruiser. This is not a support ship. Also, you note that she has a better concealment. This is not a support cruiser. This is what I referred to in my previous video, or one of my previous videos on the American light and heavy cruisers, as one of the lone wolf damage dealers. Yes, you can go destroyer hunting in this thing, and she is pretty good at that because she does get the sonar. But you have to be careful because you have deep water torpedoes which cannot hit destroyers. So you're easy to rush, and close range fights with destroyers can get quite stressful if you don't know what you do. The bigger purpose of this thing is really long range gunnery, kiting, setting fires, and using those torpedoes, because these torpedoes are very, very good. All right. So what does she look like then? We have equipment-wise. I have the main battery mod 3 in slot 1 because while she has a shorter range than her compatriots, she doesn't get the precise aim, and you really do want to try and get as much fire on target as you can. These are Soviet 150mm guns, so the armor piercing is pretty good on these things. You can citadel things like Japanese battleship, Japanese heavy cruisers at mid-range, but their penetration does wear off as you go. So you need to know when to switch to the high explosive. But against destroyers, armor piercing is excellent, and against other cruisers at short to mid range as well, just like on the other Soviet ships. I am actually playing with double steering because she already has a relatively decent engine, better than on the Kutuzov, and for a kiter I often prefer to have better maneuverability. And that gets us down to a turn time of 7.68 seconds, which for a Soviet ship, or technically a Soviet ship, is actually pretty good. And the 15-second acceleration is not terrible either. She could have used a little bit more speed, but that's what we get. I have put a commander in here, and I am actually going with an extra sonar, because you're really prone to being rushed by destroyers more than in the other two. So in Shapayev or in the Kutuzov, because you have deep water torpedoes. So you do really need to be careful when you're taking on destroyers in dogfights. And that's why I prefer having an additional sonar here to have a bit more capability in that regard. Other than that, it's nothing surprising. You don't get a precise aim, so you don't need to get any of these skills. And I'm actually playing on Adrenaline Rush here because it also shortens the torpedo reload if you're low on hit points. And you will be low on hit points because you're in a light cruiser. So being low on hit points is what this is all about. So no real surprises here in terms of ship skills. Down the road with these guns, I probably would actually take the APCS because your main reliance is by setting fires to larger targets, but the armor piercing on Soviet armor piercing is pretty good. So that would actually be a nice addition in just to dish out more damage against other cruisers. All right, what else? Let's have a very quick look. You can get 2 elite bonuses. You can either get large main battery range, or you can get hit points, AA damage, and traverse speed. Now, they're both good, and I'm really tempted to say go for range, but I personally do tend to play this ship a little bit closer than the other two because of the torpedoes. So I play her a bit more aggressively, and again, this is also where the double steering setup comes in. I play her more aggressively and occasionally torpedo rush things, so I'm not as much concerned about range as I am about hit points. So, and the main battery traverse doesn't hurt either, which allows me to take the precise aim in slot 1, and all in all, we get to a traverse speed of 8.5 seconds, which isn't great. I mean, American heavy cruisers start with 9, I think, but it's workable. And that's kind of my reasoning here. If you want to play the ship just completely at range, you effectively want to play it like a Shapayev and just ignore your torpedoes or use them situationally, you can. And then in that case, I would go for main battery range as well. You can get yourself a historical camo, which looks very, very pretty. which gives you hit points, range, torpedo speed, and large caliber AA range. Not a must-have in my opinion. I mean, the main battery firing range is good. Would have been lovely if she was giving dispersion, because the torpedo speed, in all honesty, yeah, it's nice to have, but it's not going to make a huge amount of difference. And given that you don't have the defensive AA, the large caliber AA range is, yeah, it's not really something that's going to be super helpful to you either. The hit points are good and the main battery firing range are good, but it's not a must-have in my opinion. So we are just going to use our standard camo. I think there was a package which, wait, where was it? There was a package which give you a unique one, and I can't even seem to see that in here. Yeah, I can't check it because obviously I already have the package, so it's not going to show up. But I'm pretty sure there was a bundle. Yeah, it's not going to show up. There was a bundle that was selling her with a unique camo, which for some reason I can't see in here. It's something like with an eagle or something on it. Yeah, no, it's really not here. But so I can't check what that would give you. But personally, I'm not a huge fan of these, as you know, so I wouldn't have been selling with it even if I could. But yeah, that seems to be coming in the bundle that you can purchase. But for now, we're just going to use the regular camouflage. Alrighty, let's get into some games. In the first battle, we are bottom tier. We're up against Izumo, Amagi, Kansas, the Tallinn, which I think is an Admiral Hipper, but I still have to review that one. And 3 destroyers, a Yugumo, and a Sashio, and a Lightning. And we're playing on Domination on Haven. So we will see where we end up. We do have a Saint Louis on our team. So 2 cruisers, 3 versus 3 destroyers is a pretty good mix-up. And yeah, we'll see where we show up. Like I said, we're spawning south. Okay, so we're not going to go B. But honestly, I'm getting tired of reminding the team that that's generally not a great idea, because it is usually very, very difficult to push B. It's often much better to head for C Cup or to loop around going into A Cup, but and try to sneak it from behind. But it looks like Kagro is going there. Yeah, I'll leave them to it. Maybe they can figure it out. At least Kagro has a smoke. And I don't think there was any radars on the enemy team. So the torpedo angles on this thing are excellent, by the way. The gun angles as well are not terrible. And you do have to be careful not to give broadside to battleships, because these things are very, very easy to delete. Being relatively lightly armored cruisers, or let's say just well armored enough to arm battleship armor piercing. I'm hanging my guns out here just in case anything gets spotted, but the Saint Louis seems to be wanting to go there as well. There's the enemy Lightning. So we'll get some shots out and see if we can support these two. He's obviously captured A and is now heading in towards B Cup. But yeah, we do have C Cup issues, and it looks like the Saint Louis has thought better of this as well. And there's the Asashio, so that's what we need to focus on, while at the same time being careful not to be running into any torpedoes that are coming out into that gap there. So I'm already slowing down, because there might also be Asashio torps in the water. We give him a second, and then we'll switch on the Hydro. There we go, and see if there are any torpedoes coming our way. Okay, it looks like the Asashio is torpedoing the other way, so we can move forward again. Any lightning torpedoes that would have come through the gap would be out by now, but given that the Asashio has smoked up, I am going to start setting fires, because that's the other thing that the ship's very, very good at. And you do want to keep your distance. But now the Lightning decides that he wants to pull a Notzer and run into the island. So back to the armor piercing and see if we can punish him a little bit for that one. And once again, we have to throw in reverse, because my Hydro is now on cooldown. And there are most likely torpedoes coming through the gap from the Lightning, so I do have to reverse out of here. Get a second salvo off, and then we get back to the high explosive. Just that moment, the Yugumo decides to make an appearance. So once again, I've got the wrong ammunition type loaded. There come the Lightning torpedoes. Yep, as predicted. That's why I wasn't sitting there. But yeah, the Yugumo's dropped torps and is smoking up. So now I just have to not run into those. But let's get back to the armor piercing, because we now have Asashio and Yugumo, and we're getting shot at by an Amagi. So we do have to do some dodging. Don't be tempted to give broadside in these things, but battleships looking funny at you. The destroyers have buggered off, because now there's a Saint Louis and 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 an Irian here. So they are legging it and trying to capture the battleships that are sitting around over in D Cup. And it looks like the cargo is actually getting away with capturing B, which is completely fascinating to me. But yeah, the St. Louis just dunked torpedoes into the Amagi. So I'm going to follow these up in a nice little intersected spread. And then I'm just going to try to get the heck out of here, because the Amagi is single firing, which means he doesn't have a salvo ready. So that's a flood and a fire. He damacons that. And now my torpedoes are coming in, and it looks like the Amagi is not going to be ready for that one. So hopefully that's a perma flood for me. And toink, toink, toink. Yeah, there we go. Okay, that's one perma flood on the Amagi. Yeah, I don't know what he was thinking was going to happen. So yeah, he did. The St. Louis actually kills him, which means that the enemy team is now pushing hard around D Cup, which is quite unusual. So I'm contemplating doing something about the lightning, but the two remaining battleships around D Cup are going to have a hell of a time. So I'm going to play cruiser again. Just going to poke the Hydra up in case the lightning's got torpedoes away, because I might be in range here. But I am very much going to make my way over into D Cup. The Freddy takes out the enemy Izumo, nicely done. But there are two destroyers out around D Cup. So while we're moving there, we'll see if we can set some fires on the Kansas. I am unspotted right now, so as I've been shooting for a while, so I'm going to get my shots out at the Kansas, because by the time the Kansas can actually react to that, he is going to be behind the island and cannot shoot me anymore. So we'll just get some cheeky shots in there. No fires, but yeah, the battleships are backing off. The Freddy is defensive, obviously, because he's in very low health, and they've got a Yugumo and an Asashi over here. So, okay, it looks like the Lightning and the St. Louis have taken each other out, but that means the Kagro has got free reigns about B Cup, because the rest of them is around here. There's still an enemy cruiser, I don't know where he is, but now it's Asashio time. So, yeah, that's why I'm here, to make sure that these guys don't do anything funny. Now, my Hydra is on cooldown, so I do have to be a little bit careful. But we're definitely hammering that Asashio, and he is not going to be surviving that for very long. And at the same time, we're careful that the Kansas, who is very slowly coming around the island, isn't going to be doing anything. Okay, Asashio is yeah, the Bismarck. I don't know what the Bismarck was thinking he was doing, going broadside to an Asashio. He's going to regret that. He's going to eat all those torps, but he seems to have survived it. Which means we now get given that the Yugumo is gone, we now get a Kansas to play with. You see, this is the problem I have, by the way, with that battleship line. Because these things are so dreadfully slow. Oh, there's the Yugumo. Okay, he's the Bismarck on low health decides that he wants to chase the Yugumo. All right, be my guest then. Yeah, I'm going to focus on the Kansas. So Kansas has fired, which means for the next half minute or so he's not going to do anything, which means I can get into torpedo range. Set another fire. Can I get a... okay, he damacons, so I can get a perma flood. He might be going forward. We'll see. But I need to turn my ship around now, and I think I've just waited a little bit too long, such that he might actually have another salvo ready while I'm still giving a bit too much broadside. Yep, there it comes. That could hurt. Okay, I got very lucky there. He's probably got some overpens, and he's turning in. But he's once again on fire, and he's going to take another torpedo. And we have got this in the bag. I mean, the Bismarck's still alive, to my great surprise. And the Kansas could have finished him off twice by now. But he's still burning merrily. 20 seconds to go. The Kagro has found the other cruiser and seems to be in a close-range brawl with it. But takes out the Talon. How did he manage that? I have no idea. Well, stranger things have happened. And the Kansas just realized that that the Bismarck has been a one-shot for the last minute and a half, but a little too late. And the Bismarck's actually still alive by the looks of it. So there we go. And yeah, easy 80,000 points of damage. This is what I mean by damage dealers. Yes, you can obviously, and you should as a cruiser player, go and chase destroyers, especially with this ship where you do have a sonar. Be careful, because they can rush you. But you are entirely capable with that torpedo load to do a really, really significant amount of damage to enemy battleships as well. So let's go and do that again. In the second battle, we are top tier actually. And we're up against double North Carolina, Colorado, Gneisenau, and 3 destroyers, an Öland, a Cargro, and a Xianyang. Oh, well, depending on how my team decides to play this, we can either have a good time or I need to maneuver out in the open. You see, on this map, I really like taking the flanks because taking B-Cup seems like the logical thing to do, but B-Cup is completely open. There's no cover in B-Cup, which means as a cruiser, I really don't enjoy B-Cup. I enjoy A-Cup because it's got plenty of cover. When the team calls out B, that looks like the Lightning is going... Yeah, that's the Lightning actually making the call. So the Lightning is calling out B and C. The two destroyers are going there, which means I get no scout around A-Cup. And I am probably going to be running into at least 1 destroyer and maybe a battleship over there, which is, given that I have deep water torpedoes, not something I would necessarily want to do. So I'm going to have to agree here begrudgingly, leave A-Cup to the enemy team, and we're going to have to open water cruiser in B-Cup, because you can bet money that none of the battleships on the friendly team is going to go anywhere near B-Cup, so it's going to be up to Lightning and myself. Okay, first one up's the Xianyang. Xianyang got deep water torps. Yeah, they are definitely in A-Cup, so I'm going to put the sonar up, just in case any of the destroyers that is definitely lurking in A-Cup has got anything coming my way. And yeah, there come the Xianyang torps, so I'm going to have to try and dodge those, while at the same time not getting blocked by battleships and maintaining fire at the Xianyang. But yeah, the Xianyang has dunked his torpedoes, which have missed at least me. I don't know about the battleship behind me, but we've got different problems. There's an Öland, which means I have to give an uncomfortable amount of broadside to enemy battleships over there. Plus, I actually gonna have to slow down, potentially. He doesn't look at me, so I may risk it. My Hydro is on cooldown. Nah. Yeah, I'm gonna slow down here, putting my rear towards the battleships and hoping that there are no Öland torps in the water. Doesn't look like, so now we can try to finish off the Öland and see if we can get that thing done. And he goes undetected, of course, which is very unfortunate. He must have been on really low health. Okay, we've got what? Colorado, Gneisenau, at least, but no one's shooting at me. The Lightning is now seems to have realized the error of his ways. Oh, and I'm to take back what I said earlier. The North Carolina is brave and is actually rushing the Cup. He's going to run into all those Öland torps, though. So that's going to be unhealthy. That is probably an ex-North Carolina, especially that there's a Xianyang as well. So I am going to try and help maintain B-Cup. Yep, there comes some Xianyang torps. And I am going to have to try and navigate. Fortunately, the North Carolina throws himself right into the path of these torps, so I have an easier time getting out of these. Don't have a radar. Cleveland would have been useful right about now, but this will do. Now, once again, I am looking at 3 battleships, which have nothing better to shoot at than me, because the Lightning, after calling out B-Cup in the beginning, is now sitting in A-Cup, where I wanted to go very early on, but oh well, such is life. So I'm going to get some blind shots out of that destroyer and just get him on low enough health. So I need to get out of here, because we've got four enemy players, and my battleships are legging it after they've seen what happens to the North Carolina. These are some Öland torps, fortunately no flood. But they don't do a huge amount of damage. There was still another ship out there. Now the Gneisenau seems to be pushing, and I've got a 7.8 kilometer range on these torps. So even though I'm not technically in range, I'm dunking the torps in there, because if he keeps pushing, then he will run into them, because he's sailing into the torpedoes. But it looks like he's stopped, which is really unusual for Gneisenau captains to do. So that's unsporting of him. But yeah, B-Cup's lost, and the Lightning seems to have gotten A, but he would have been really useful around about now over here to deal with all those battleships. Not sure what the Xianyang is doing. And the Öland and Lightning's is playing now against 2 destroyers over in A-Cup. So yeah, I'm committed out here. I don't have a chance to disengage easily. I'm going to have to slow down again in a sec just to dodge the Xianyang torps that are going to be in the water while I'm waiting for my hydro. So while my hydro is up, so I should see them in time. But yeah, we're just going to try and get them back again. And ouch, that was either the Gneisenau or the North Carolina over there. So once again, I can dunk some torpedoes into the general direction of the Gneisenau, but I do not want to make a full turn. I'm going to drop some torpedoes ahead of him, just to slow him down a little bit, because by the looks of it, Lightning seems to have, against all odds, won that duel over there. Let's see if we can set the Gneisenau on fire. And yeah, he's definitely not falling for this old trick, but he is slow enough that maybe the Lightning can get back here after taking on A Cup and doing something about that Gneisenau. I mean, he might have had a Hydro up and has seen these torpedoes coming miles away. But I most certainly do not want to make a full turn. I'm just sitting here as bait and hoping that the Lightning is getting the idea and can dunk some single-fire torpedoes into that Gneisenau, because that would be great. I'm trying to set him on fire, such that if he gets torpedoed, he will actually flood. And yeah, once again, the angles on these torpedoes are excellent. So yep, there's a fire. He damacons a single fire. Well done. Now it's flood time. The angles on these torpedoes are excellent. So I'm just waiting for them to reload. And then I'm gonna. He probably just realized that he's running into lightning torpedoes. So he might have had the Hydro up again. So it's not worth actually sending torpedoes after him. But we're just gonna burn him down from here. Definitely knows how to dodge torpedoes, that one. But now he's heading over into A Cup, chasing after that Lightning. So I'm just going to see if I can set another fire. How are we on points? We're ahead on points. We're equal on kills. But we are losing C Cup. And our battleships are milling about aimlessly somewhere on the map. And I've still got two North Carolinas to deal with. So can I torpedo this guy? That might be interesting. But I do need to watch out with the other one, because I am giving way too much broadside. Yep, ow. Yes, I know. Okay, I don't think I can get torpedoes off against the other one. We're 494 to 454 points. We're 1 kill behind, and they hold all 3 capture circles. I need to kill something, because we're going to lose on points otherwise. So I'm going to... There's nothing for it. I'm going to rush that North Carolina. He's on half health, which means he's a one-shot for me if I can get into top range, but I'm a one-shot for him if he can catch me broadside as well. So I'm going to have to time this right. So I'm just waiting for him to fire his guns. Okay, come on, fire your guns. Fire your guns. Okay, that's double fire. Fire your guns, not the secondaries, the main guns. Come on, come on. There you go, nice, okay. So double torpedo dunk, extinguish the fire, and now he's dead. Okay, and the other North Carolina is on relatively low health. He can't kill me with the secondaries unless he get a permafire, but something's killed something, so I think we're good actually. But yeah. That's what I mean with you can play this thing more aggressively, because you have a much more significant torpedo punch on this ship than you have on the regular Soviet cruisers, where you can't pull these sort of stunts. So this is a fun ship. This is actually a really, I mean, the Kutuzov is a great cruiser. I like the Shores, and I presume I like the Chapayev for the same reason. The Kutuzov is a great cruiser. This thing is very good in his own right, because you've got pretty much the Kutuzov's guns minus a little bit of range, but you've got these you've got this really high torpedo burst damage that can absolutely wreak havoc among enemy ships. So, and you've got the excellent torpedo angles allowing you to do these sort of suicide rushes. Or controlled suicide rushes against things like battleships, even if you are running right straight up into their guns. So this is an absolutely excellent Tier 8 cruiser, Tier 8 light cruiser, in my opinion. If you like the Kutuzov, if you like the Shores or the Chapayev, you're going to love this thing, because it combines the best part of these, the long-range kiters, with more utility with the Hydro. And with more punching power with the torpedoes if you need to go in for a clutch kill like this. So absolutely recommended. Is a great ship, great fun to play. Anyway, that's it for me today. Thanks everybody, and I'll see you next time. Bye bye.